lesson, we will be graphing an inequality that has two variables. Information from the past that you've learned about graphing a line is right here. This is the formula that we will be using for our first two steps in graphing an inequality. Y equals mx plus b. Remember, m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So as we go ahead and we graph inequalities today, we're going to first graph letter B. We will count the slope from there and draw our line, whether it be broken or solid. I'll be talking to you about that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to shade either the top or the bottom part of a graph, because we do know that inequalities have many solutions. Looking at the very first inequality, I think I'll make that y is less than or equal to a 4x minus 1. So when I am graphing the less than or equal to right here, I know that the line that I am going to be drawing is going to be a solid line. And this is my little clue. So let's begin with following the steps that we have there for how to graph an equation, and then last but not least, the inequality. So here I have my letter B, my y-intercept. I will be going to the y-axis and I will put at -1 a point. And then I do know my slope is going to be positive because 4 is a positive number. And remember, our slope is 4 over 1, and it is rise over run. So I'm going from my y-intercept, and I'm going to count up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm counting over 1. When we're done, we should have a line. This is me thinking about it. My line should be going uphill from left to right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do another one. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And then I like to put a few points below it. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So when I'm drawing this line, again, when we have an inequality, I've got to look. Does it have that less than or equal to or greater than or equal to? And it does. So I am going to make this a solid line, trying to draw as straight as line as possible without a ruler. Not an easy task. All right, so now we have done our first two steps that we have listed over here. However, now we must decide, are we going to shade the top half of this graph, or are we going to shade the bottom half of this graph? Because it's an inequality. It will have many solutions. So I always like to pick the point to check, and you can pick any of them, but since 0, 0 is not on the line, I'm going to pick that point, and I am going to substitute. So here's my point of 0, 0 that I'm going to check to see if it makes my inequality true. So we have, here's our x, here's our y. We know with our inequality up above, 0 is less than or equal to 4 times 0 minus 1. All I did was take this inequality, substitute in the values, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve it. Well, 4 times 0 is 0, and so we end up with a 0 is less than or equal to a -1. Well, that does not sound right, and you are correct. That is false. So if you get a false, that means we are not going to shade this top area where our ordered pair is. So I'm going to pick any random ordered pair here, and I think this time I will check right there. And that ordered pair is actually a 2 and a 1. There's my x, here's my y. And when I substitute in the value, I'm going to put for my y, 1 is less than or equal to, and it was the 4, the x is a 2, minus 1. So 1 is less than or equal to 8 minus 1. Well, 1 is less than or equal to a 7. So since this is true, where this ordered pair is that we, are checking on this graph, we got a true statement. That tells me I am going to go ahead and I am going to shade all of this area. And our solution for this inequality could be any of the points on the line. It also is everything in this shaded area. All right, well, let's try another one. I see this graph is upside down, so let's fix that. All right, there we go. So I have y is greater than a negative 4/5 x plus 4. As I'm looking at that, I know y equals mx plus b. I am going to go ahead and I am going to graph what the line would look like. Now let's look at this symbol that we have right here. Since we have a greater than symbol, I know that, and it's not greater than or equal to, the line that I end up graphing is going to be a broken line. So that means the numbers on that line are not part of the solution. And notice I went ahead and I put that, I want to remember it's a broken line, and then I also looked at my slope, it was negative, so I purposely make that going downhill. All right, let's go to where we have y equals mx plus b. Here's our b. I'm going to my 4 on my y-axis. And now I am going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to go over 5 to the negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And notice, as I am doing that, I see that it will be downhill. So I'm going to do just one more to stay on this graph. I'm going to go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As I connect these points, I am going to go ahead and make a dotted line because I do know that any ordered pair on that line is not part of the solution. So now let's try 0, 0. It's always very easy. So we have a bottom part of this graph right down here, or we have a top part of this graph. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the ordered pair of 0, 0, and I am going to substitute it into the equation or the inequality that I have up above. So they're both zeros, so y is greater than a negative 4/5 times 0 plus 4. Well, we know 0 times anything is 0, so we get 0 is greater than 4. Again, we get a false statement. And I checked this point right here. So that means that I do know that I'm going to be shading the top part. But I always like to pick a point and check it out. So I am going to, let's see, why don't we pick 1 and 10, all the way up there. So when I'm going to this, I have, again, I'm using point 1 and 10. Here's my x, here's my y. So 10 is greater than a negative 4/5. X was 1 plus 4. As we're working this problem, remember, 10 is greater than, this is a negative 4/5 plus 4. Well, 10 is going to be greater than our, and when we work this out, we end up getting a 3 1/5. So this was true, which means anything where that point is considered part of the solution. Notice I am shading the whole part. And if you're doing this with pencils at school, you can just shade it with the edge of your pencil. Right now, in order to still be able to see the coordinate plane, I've just drawn lines, but it's everything all the ordered pairs on this top section makes the inequality that we have true. If this video was helpful to you today, please add a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more Math with Marcia. See you again soon.